In our previous video, we talked about the theory of Persephone being the true mother of the Matrix, a theory that comes from syncretism and Gnostic stories that may have inspired the creation of the Matrix. It was proposed by author and philosopher Peter B. Lloyd. His book Exegesis of the Matrix has the philosophical basis that helps us understand the role of the mother of the Matrix. But how does all this information fit the Matrix Reloaded plot? If Persephone is the mother of the Matrix, how did she end up with the Merovingian? Today we're going to try to make sense of this theory in part 2 of Persephone, the mother of the Matrix. Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Before we begin today's video, we would like to invite you to visit the Street Fighter Verse, a channel dedicated to everything Street Fighter. Would you like to know what is the Hadouken, or if Bison has been dead the entire time? Then please visit Street Fighter Verse. Link to the channel in the description below. Before we get into the story of Persephone as the mother of the Matrix, let's review what the Gnostic texts say about the Great Architect. In the beginning, the Great Architect was alone, a single entity, who was then divided into two. All of his emotions were separated from him to create the second half. This second entity, called Issa, is emotional and chaotic. She is the Great Architect's wife and is the origin of chaos and emotion, while the Architect is the origin of order and logic. For humans to learn certain secrets, they must make Issa fall in love with them with a kiss, which is known as the chosen response. This Gnostic tale could be the source of inspiration for the story of Persephone and the Architect in the Matrix. Understanding this, we could make sense of the story from the movies, which goes as follows. After humanity signed their surrender to the machines, the Architect was created. The Architect is the program commissioned to create the simulation. The program was frustrated by its multiple failures because it could not understand why humans were rejecting his creations. The Architect was perhaps not a 100% rational program. There could have been a time when he was more like the other programs in the Matrix, highly intelligent but also emotionally flawed. He then decided to separate his emotions, take this code, and create an intuitive program. When the Architect was separated into two parts, he would try to better understand humanity, a 100% logical half and a 100% emotional half. The purpose of the intuitive program was to precisely find a solution to the irrational behaviors of the people within the Matrix. The Architect is logical and orderly, but his wife was emotional and chaotic. Together they found the solution to the Matrix's biggest issue: humanity disconnected from the simulation because they felt they had no free will. The mother's emotional understanding of the Matrix paid off, but the mother and father's relationship changed due to the interference of a soon-to-be obsolete operational program. Persephone is described as an emotional vampire. She cannot feel emotion if not through other people. For her, living with the Architect was not pleasant, and so she was seduced by the charming Merovingian. This X-operating system from a very early version of the Matrix showed her something that the Architect could not: love. This completely changed the dynamics of the Architect and Persephone's relationship. She goes from being the mother of the Matrix to the queen of the underworld. But the Merovingian's only intention was to have Persephone to increase his power. Now with Persephone by his side, he can better understand humans, with the added caveat that he took something important from the Architect. As time passed, the Merovingian changed, or was just simply dropping the romantic facade. His true intentions shine through, and Persephone falls out of love with the Frenchman. She now seeks the feeling of love in others. She uses emotions as a bargaining chip for those who need something from her. Persephone is cursed to live out her existence with the Merovingian, something that does not bother the Architect in the slightest because he no longer has any use for her, but the Merovingian does. He agreed to free Neo from Mobile Ave because Persephone told him that Trinity would kill them all because she was in love.
You want to make a deal? How about this? You give me Neo, or we all die right here, right now.
Interesting deal. You are really ready to die for this man.
Believe it.
She'll do it. If she has to, she'll kill every one of us. She's in love.
Persephone convinced the Merovingian to free him because thanks to his wife, he knows that someone in love is willing to do anything for it, even leave their kingdom, just like Persephone did. This is why the Merovingian keeps her by his side, even after she betrayed him. She is incredibly powerful because she is the emotional half of the architect. Now then, this theory about the origin of the mother of the Matrix is certainly surprising. It gives us insight into what happened before Neo's story and the unknown connection between the Merovingian and the architect. Persephone is the nexus. It makes sense, but it also leaves us without an origin story for the Oracle, making her story even more mysterious. What are the Oracle's motivations? When was she created? And how does her story fit in the Matrix trilogy? Even if the Wachowskis were influenced by Gnostic texts, we don't believe that the mother of the Matrix is Persephone, regardless of the simulations between the two tales. If this backstory were to be true, then somewhere there is a story of the Merovingian seeking revenge on the architect for trying to erase him. He steals the architect's other half and tricks her into becoming his wife. This is how the Merovingian has survived for so long. His wife Persephone is a part of the architect. She protects him and advises him, even though she hates him. But do you agree? Is Persephone the architect's other half? Was she his wife that was stolen by the Merovingian? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.